The scream split the night wide open. Anna jerked upright from her sewing chair, needle falling to the floorboards. For one impossible heartbeat she thought it was memory, her mind dragging her back to the night she lost everything. But then the scream came again, raw and jagged, and this time it belonged to someone fighting to stay alive. She grabbed her lantern and ran. The cold slapped her cheeks as she crossed the yard, skirts snagging on dry weeds. The cries were coming from the tree line, where her land met the endless prairie. Anna forced her way through the brush, branches clawing at her sleeves. And then she saw her. A young woman lay collapsed beside the old oak, dress soaked in blood, breath shuddering in broken gasps. She lifted her head at the light of Anna's lantern, eyes terrified. "Help me," she choked. "My baby, please." Anna dropped to her knees. "I'll get the midwife." "No." The woman grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. "Not enough time, don't leave me." Anna's pulse thundered in her ears. She hadn't delivered a child in her life. The last baby she held had been her own. Silent, still, wrapped in a blanket she had sewn with hopeful hands. But this woman was dying. And the baby was coming now. Anna swallowed hard. "Tell me what to do." The woman nodded weakly, bracing herself. A scream ripped up her throat. Anna steadied shaking hands, positioning herself where instinct guided her. Another scream. A push. A thin, piercing wail shattered the dark. The baby slid into Anna's trembling hands, a slippery, furious scrap of life. The cry hit Anna like a blow, sharp and beautiful and cruel all at once. 6 months. 6 months since she'd heard a newborn cry. 6 months since her own child was born silent. "She's here," Anna whispered. "Your baby's here." But when she lifted her gaze, the mother's eyes were already dimming. The woman reached out, fingertips brushing her infant's cheek. "Take her," she breathed. "Keep her safe." "You'll be all right," Anna tried, voice breaking. "No," the woman's grip tightened on Anna's sleeve, desperate and terrified. "He'll come. He'll take her. Don't let him." Anna's stomach twisted. "Who's coming?" "Promise," the woman rasped. "Promise me." Anna looked at the baby, screaming, searching, and felt something rise inside her, fragile and fierce. "I promise." The woman's hand fell away. Silence. Anna knelt there, lantern flickering, holding the motherless child as the cold crept in around them. The infant's cries turned to little gasps, rooting blindly. Anna's body responded instantly, an ache in her chest she thought she'd buried. 6 months, yet the milk had never stopped. Her body had kept waiting long after her heart collapsed. She wrapped the baby in her shawl and stood. "It's all right," she whispered. "I've got you." She carried the child back to her cabin. Inside, the fire roared to life beneath her shaking hands. She unbound herself, fabric she had tied every morning to stop what her grief refused to stop. The baby latched immediately. Anna bowed her head, sobs breaking loose, not from sorrow, but from a savage relief so deep it hurt. The cabin that had felt like a tomb for months now pulsed with the sound of life. A life she hadn't expected. A life entrusted to her in a stranger's final breath. When the infant drifted into sleep, warm and milk-drunk, Anna tucked her into the drawer she had once prepared for her own child. Blankets waited there, soft, and used, kept out of stubborn hope or quiet cruelty. She stroked the baby's cheek. "Rose," she whispered. "Your name is Rose." She sat beside the drawer until the lantern burned low. A heavy knock thundered against the door. Anna scooped Rose up and opened it. Mrs. Henderson stood outside, breath forming little clouds in the morning cold. "Anna," word spreading. "A body's been found on your land. Sheriff's ridin' here now." Anna held Rose closer. "I know. I was with her." Mrs. Henderson's eyes widened. "Lord above, that the woman's child?" "Yes." "Did she say who the father is? Did she say anything?" Anna hesitated. The dying woman's terror echoed in her mind. "He'll take her." She asked me to protect her, Anna said softly. She made me promise. Mrs. Henderson's face shifted, worry, pity, fear all mixing. Voices carried from the direction of the oak, men gathering, questions rising, bootsteps crunching. They'll want answers, she warned. I'll tell them what I can. They might demand more than that. Anna straightened, gripping Rose like a shield and a miracle both. Whatever they want, Rose stays with me until we know the truth. Mrs. Henderson studied her long and slow, taking in the steel in her voice. The baby nestled against her chest. At last she nodded. I'll tell them you're caring for the child until the sheriff sorts things out. She left. Anna shut the door and leaned against it, breath trembling. Rose slept on, tiny fist curled against Anna's collarbone. Your mama said someone would come, Anna whispered. But I promised you'd be safe. She kissed the baby's forehead. For now, she murmured, you're mine. Outside, hooves pounded closer, the sheriff and whoever else wanted claim to the dead woman's child. Promises made in the dark had a way of shaking the world at sunrise. And someone was already on their way to break hers. The sun had barely risen when whispers slithered through redemption. Anna Davies, the grieving widow, was no longer invisible. She was the woman holding a secret, a newborn child, and a promise made with a dying mother. Anna walked briskly along the town's main street, Rose snug against her chest. The baby stirred, tiny fists curling around her shawl. Rose, you're safe with me, she murmured, voice barely above the morning wind. She could feel the weight of the town's eyes even before the murmurs began. Word traveled fast here. Someone would notice the baby, someone would talk. The clatter of hooves broke the morning stillness. Dust churned into the air as a carriage barreled down the street. Merchants paused mid-transaction, children stopped their games, and Anna instinctively pressed Rose closer, heart pounding. The carriage screeched to a halt in front of the general store, wheels groaning against the rough planks of the street. The door slammed open with a metallic snap, revealing a man whose presence seemed to bend the light around him. Tall, sharp-featured, coat gleaming, eyes like steel scanning the crowd. Every movement commanded attention. That is my daughter. Give her to me, he said, voice low, cold, authoritative. Anna froze. Rose stirred, letting out a small, piercing cry that cut through the tension of the morning. Her arms tightened instinctively around the child. Her mother, your wife, gave her to me. She made me promise. I will not break that promise. The man's eyes narrowed. You have no claim. She is mine. A murmur rippled through the townsfolk, growing sharp and insistent. She's not the mother. Give the baby to its father. She's just a widow clinging to grief. Anna shifted, taking a deliberate step forward. Her voice rang clear, carrying over the whispering crowd. I am giving her life. I am giving her love. That is more than you have ever shown. That is what matters. The man's jaw tightened. He stepped forward, gloved hand darting toward Rose like a striking snake. Anna flinched, pressing the baby closer to her chest. A snarl escaped her lips, low and fierce. You will not touch her. Some townsfolk flinched, unsure which way to lean. Others whispered, nodding at him with cold certainty. The tension stretched, taut as a bowstring. The man's hand fell, frustration hardening his expression. He pulled a rolled parchment from inside his coat and slammed it on the steps of the general store, inches from Anna's feet. Dust swirled around it. This is a writ of habeas corpus ad subjecendum, he said, voice slicing through the morning like a knife. You are to surrender the child immediately. The sheriff has been notified of your intent to illegally detain my property. If she is not delivered peaceably, she will be taken by force. Anna's hands tightened around Rose, the baby's tiny body wriggling slightly, sensing the tension. Her heart pounded, thoughts racing. She looked at the parchment, the cold authority it represented, and then down at Rose's innocent, trusting eyes. Law may be on your side, Anna said softly, voice trembling but firm, "but love, life, and promise that belongs to me." The man's eyes flashed, rage simmering beneath the calm exterior. "You are alone," he said. "You cannot win against the law. You will hand her over, or I will take her myself." Anna took a careful step forward, placing herself fully between him and Rose. "You think I am alone," she said, voice rising, "but I am not. I have her mother's last words, the strength of this child, and the will to protect her. That is more than any law or parchment can command." He leaned closer, teeth grinding behind a cold mask. "Do you think words can stop the law? The courts? Your defiance will cost you, woman." Anna's eyes swept the crowd. Some still whispered, some widened in disbelief. But many stared, silent, watching. She could feel the tension of the town pressing in, but also the small nods of understanding, small gestures of respect for the woman who refused to bow. "You want the law?" Anna said, lifting Rose slightly so the baby's bright eyes met the man's. "You'll find it blind and deaf. She will not leave my arms until the law can match my promise." A murmur ran through the street. He glared, fuming. He had expected compliance, maybe a tearful surrender. He had not expected defiance. With a final, calculated movement, he turned his back, climbing into the carriage. "I will return," he said coldly. "You cannot hide from what is rightfully mine." The wheels creaked and spun, leaving a whirlwind of dust in their wake. Anna held Rose tight as the dust settled. Around her, townspeople resumed their chores, eyes darting nervously to the young widow who had dared to stand alone. She whispered again, soft and determined, "Your mama said someone would come for you. But I promised. And I will keep that promise no matter what." She walked down the street, through the market stalls and open fields, holding Rose against her chest. Each step was deliberate, visible, defiant. This was no longer just her porch, her home, or her yard. This was the heart of the town, and she would not cower. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a man with wealth, power, and law himself was planning his return. But Anna Davies, the grieving widow who had become a mother in an instant, was ready. She had Rose, she had the promise, and she had the courage to stand against the storm. Sundown tomorrow. The true battle had begun. By sunrise, redemption was tense. Word had spread. The rich man would return. Lawyers, town council, and the writ of habeas corpus in his hands. Anna sat on her porch, Rose cradled against her chest, tiny fingers curling around her shawl. Every creak of the gate, every clatter of boots made her pulse jump. She hummed quietly, not for Rose, but to steady herself. Today, the storm arrived. And then it came. The carriage rolled into town like a thundercloud, dust kicking up, wheels screeching over cobblestones. Two men in suits stepped down, papers in hand, men who had never heard no. Behind them, the rich man emerged, tall, sharp, unyielding. His eyes swept the town, landing on Anna and Rose. "She's mine," he barked. "This is kidnapping. Hand her over now." The town shifted uneasily. Some murmured agreement, some whispered doubt. "She's not the mother. Give the baby to its father." Anna rose, holding Rose tighter. Her voice calm but steel-edged. "Her mother trusted me. She gave her to me before she died. I will not betray that trust." The rich man's jaw tightened. Record her refusal. This is defiance, plain and simple. A thin councilman stepped forward. "Anna Davies, you are breaking the law. Surrender her peacefully, or we enforce the writ." Anna met his gaze unwavering. "I'm not hiding. I will not let you take her." A ripple passed through the crowd. Some nodded in approval. Others shook their heads. Then Sheriff Marcus appeared, his frame commanding without threat. His eyes met Anna's, the same quiet understanding he'd shown 6 months ago. "Every time you try to take her," Marcus called, voice carrying, "you'll have me in your way. The baby thrives here. You want to rip her from the only mother she knows?" She's not the mother, the rich man spat. She's a grieving widow clinging to a child that isn't hers. Marcus's gaze sharpened. She's more of a mother than any wet nurse you could hire. Do you understand life or only power? Anna's heart soared. She straightened, holding Rose higher. I will appear here every day. I will not hide. Her mother trusted me. I will honor that trust, no matter who comes. The crowd parted as she walked, Rose swaddled, humming softly. The widow who refused to bend, the child who refused silence, and the sheriff who stood silently beside her. Throughout the day, the rich man tried repeatedly. Lawyers argued, councilmen lectured, townspeople whispered. Every attempt to take Rose was met with Marcus's unyielding presence, his authority a living shield. At midday he confronted Anna. Do you know what you're doing? You will lose. You cannot stand against law, wealth, and power. Anna's eyes narrowed. I am not standing against law, power, or wealth. I am standing for her. She breathes because I feed her. She sleeps because I comfort her. She thrives because I care. That is law enough for me. He turned to his lawyers. Escalate. Remove this child by force. Marcus stepped forward, calm but unyielding. You want your daughter? Prove you can care for her. Remove her by force? I will stop you. Anna swallowed, body tense. Every step she took through the street, Rose's small head resting against her chest, felt like a declaration. I am her mother. I will not let her go. Late in the day, the rich man's carriage retreated, slower, less confident. The fight was not over, but Anna had won for now. As the street cleared, Marcus stayed near her. Rose reached for his coat sleeve. Anna smiled softly. You're helping me, she whispered, because you're fighting for something pure, something that matters. And someone has to stand for her, he said. Anna's heart ached, not just relief, but something deeper, for him. She nodded, tightening her hold on Rose. That child is my promise, she said. I will protect her, no matter what comes. Marcus gave a small nod, a faint smile touching his lips. And I'll be here to make sure you can. That night, as Anna tucked Rose into the crib by the fire, the weight of the day settled. The threat had not gone away. The rich man's arrogance had not diminished. But for the first time, she felt hope. She was not alone, and Rose was safe for now. Outside, the town whispered. Inside, Anna sang softly, rocking Rose. The fight had begun, but so had something else. A quiet alliance, fragile trust, and a growing certainty that love, courage, and determination were stronger than any law or threat. Tomorrow, the rich man might return. But tonight, Anna Davies had won. Rose slept. And redemption had witnessed a mother's fiercest, most unbreakable battle. The morning sun barely touched the horizon when Sheriff Marcus arrived at Anna's cabin. Dust hung in the air, mixed with hay and something colder, anticipation. Today, the truth would begin to surface. Anna, Marcus said quietly, tipping his hat. We need to go to the undertaker's. The body's been prepared. Anna's heart tightened. She had held Rose close all night, whispered promises into her tiny ears, and now, the shadow of the mother's death pressed close. I don't know what I'll find there. You'll be all right, Marcus said, brushing briefly against her hand as he guided her toward the waiting buggy. His eyes flicked to Rose, nestled in her shawl. She's safe with you. The streets were unusually quiet, as if redemption itself held its breath. Anna passed familiar landmarks, the general store, the blacksmith, the schoolhouse, her resolve stiffening with every step. This was part of the promise she had made. At the undertaker's office, the heavy oak door groaned as Marcus pushed it open. The room was dim, scented faintly with cedar and embalming chemicals. Anna drew a trembling breath. The undertaker, a stern man with work-worn hands, nodded. She's been prepared, he said, gesturing to a covered stretcher. You'll have a moment. Anna held Rose tighter. The doctor arrived quietly, spectacles perched on his nose, leather case in hand. "Morning," he said softly. "We examined her. There are signs, bruising, indications she tried to flee. The delivery was complicated, and marks suggest a struggle in her final hours." Anna's throat tightened. "A struggle?" He nodded. "She was frightened. She tried to protect herself and her baby." The undertaker pulled back the sheet. The woman's face, pale but peaceful, reflected a life abruptly ended. Anna's hand hovered, instinct urging her to cry, to clutch Rose, to run, but she forced herself to stand, anchored by promise and responsibility. "The father," she whispered. Marcus's jaw tightened. "He'll want to see her. But not like this. We need facts, Anna, not more trauma." Moments later, the rich man arrived, escorted by lawyers. He entered with arrogance, expecting compliance, confrontation, perhaps obedience. He froze at the body. "Let me see," he demanded. "You'll have a view," Marcus said firmly. "But no closer. This isn't for theatrics. The child is here with her mother's chosen guardian." Anna held Rose lightly, eyes fixed on the mother. The rich man's gaze flicked from the body to the infant, hunger for control flashing beneath polished exterior. The doctor spoke, voice steady. "She was fleeing. Bruises, strain from childbirth. It's clear she tried to escape. This child was meant to survive, even if the mother did not." Marcus stepped closer, placing a protective hand near Anna's arm. "Do you understand now? The child was entrusted to someone who would protect her life, her health, her future." The rich man clenched his fists, but the doctor's calm eyes silenced him. The evidence, the mother's struggle, the thriving child, it all spoke louder than threats. Anna looked down at Rose, tiny chest rising and falling in sleep. Her heart surged. This was why the woman had come to her, not for wealth or conflict, but for survival. For love. "You've kept your promise," Marcus said quietly, eyes meeting hers. Pride, and something deeper, tender, made Anna's heart stumble. "I will," she whispered. "I will protect her. I will not let anyone treat her as property." As they prepared to leave, Marcus guided Anna and Rose out into the early morning. Sunlight washed the streets in gold, quieting the town. Anna carried Rose past the market, the blacksmith, the schoolyard, letting the town see her, not in defiance, but in quiet determination. Children stopped to watch. Shopkeepers paused mid-task. Whispers rose. He's caring for her. Not just holding her, but feeding her, protecting her. Anna noticed Marcus beside her, quiet but steadfast. At the edge of the square, where shadows stretched and dust swirled, he finally spoke. "Anna," he said low, "you're doing more than surviving. You're proving what a mother truly is." Her fingers tightened around Rose. "I promised," she said softly. "I will keep her safe no matter what comes." Marcus's lips curved faintly. "And I'll be here to make sure you can. Someone has to stand for her, and for you." They walked in silence, sharing the unspoken bond forged in the quiet of danger and responsibility. Around them, the town began to shift, whispers carrying truths soon to surface. The rich man might still claim authority, still plot his return. But for now, Anna, Rose, and Marcus had taken the first step in turning the tide. The child was alive, loved, protected. The mother's last act had succeeded. And in the hush of the early morning, Anna felt it, the stirrings of hope, justice, and something else entirely. A fragile promise that life could, perhaps, still be beautiful. The courtroom smelled of dust, sweat, and tension. Anna Davies stood tall, Rose cradled in her arms, the child now 6 weeks old and thriving, unaware that her life had become the center of a storm. The rich man, stiff and pale, sat with his lawyers and the town council arrayed behind him like a shield, trying to turn authority against her. But today, everything would change. The judge, an elderly man with a face carved from decades of law and justice, adjusted his spectacles and fixed Anna with a keen, steady gaze. "Mrs. Davies," he said, voice resonant. You understand the claim against you? Anna swallowed, Rose's tiny hand curling around her finger. Yes, Your Honor, she said, voice calm, steady, though her heart thumped like a drum. I understand. And I stand by my promise. The room murmured. Some sympathetic, some skeptical. The rich man rose, anger simmering behind cold, sharp eyes. This woman is holding my daughter unlawfully, he snapped. I am the father. I demand my child. Anna did not flinch. She placed Rose on her hip, holding her closer. Her mother gave her to me, dying. She asked me to protect her from a man who would harm her. That is my claim. That is my bond. That is my truth. A pause fell over the room as murmurs rippled through the spectators. The judge leaned forward. Evidence, Mrs. Davies? Anna nodded, her hands shaking slightly, and motioned to Sheriff Marcus. He stepped forward, carrying a bundle of papers and letters, photographs of bruises on the woman who had died, medical notes from the doctor who examined her at the undertaker's office, and affidavits from townspeople who had seen her traveling alone, clearly in flight. The doctor, called to testify, stood beside the sheriff. His spectacles caught the light as he addressed the court. This woman, he said, voice steady, suffered bruises consistent with fear and attempted escape. The delivery was complicated. She struggled, resisting someone she feared, protecting her child with every ounce of her strength. Even in her final hours, her focus was on keeping this infant alive. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Anna pressed Rose closer. The tiny child, oblivious to the storm around her, nestled against Anna's chest, a living testament to survival. Marcus's voice rang clear. This man, he said firmly, pointing to the rich man, is not merely a father seeking his child. He is a man whose cruelty forced a heavily pregnant woman into the wilderness alone. She gave her baby to Mrs. Davies to protect her life. That is why she entrusted her to this woman, because he would not have kept her safe. The rich man's face contorted. This is libel. Slander. But you cannot. Order. The judge's gavel came down. Silence fell. He tapped the papers with his fingers. I have reviewed the evidence. It is clear. The child's mother died trying to save her child from harm. She entrusted the child to Mrs. Davies. The bruises, the struggle, the desperate attempts to flee, all confirm she sought only protection for her baby. Therefore, this court grants legal guardianship of the child to Mrs. Anna Davies. Any attempt to remove the child from her care without lawful process will be met with contempt. The room seemed to exhale all at once. Some townspeople clapped quietly, others stared in stunned disbelief. The rich man slumped into his chair, defeated, his lawyers murmuring angrily but powerless. Anna sank to her knees in relief, holding Rose close. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not for sorrow this time, but for triumph, for the justice the child had earned, and for the promise she had kept. Sheriff Marcus approached, his eyes softening as he looked at her. You fought harder for her than most blood mothers would, he said quietly, almost a whisper between them. You did right by her. Anna looked up, still trembling. I promised her mother. That was all I could do. Marcus knelt beside her, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. And now that promise has given her a chance at life. But you need someone to stand with you too. That baby needs a father. And you need someone beside you. Anna's eyes widened. Her breath caught. You mean? I'm not asking for permission, he said, voice gentle but firm. I'm saying I want to be part of this family. If you'll have me. Anna clutched Rose to her chest, staring at Marcus with a mixture of astonishment, gratitude, and something softer, warmer that had been growing between them through sleepless nights, whispered conversations, and silent support during the battle. We'll have you, she said finally, voice steady, heart full. Rose gurgled and reached toward him, tiny fingers grasping at his sleeve, as if she knew instinctively he belonged. 1 year later, the town of Redemption was quiet but full of life. Anna and Marcus were married. Rose, now a lively toddler, ran barefoot through the sun-drenched yard, her laughter ringing across the land. Anna watched her from the porch, hand resting against her rounded belly, a second life growing inside her. "You saved 2 lives," Marcus said softly, standing beside her and resting his hand over hers, feeling the small kick. Anna smiled, her heart light, her eyes glistening. "No," she whispered, leaning against him. "We saved each other." The town had changed too. Once judgmental whispers had turned into admiration and respect. Redemption had witnessed courage, resilience, and love. Anna, once a grieving widow, now stood as a mother, protector, and wife. Rose had grown healthy and strong, loved beyond measure, a symbol of defiance and hope. Marcus tightened his hand over hers, eyes meeting hers with quiet, unspoken words. They didn't need to speak. They had survived storms, faced injustice, and emerged together, stronger than any law or threat could break. And in that quiet, golden evening, with the baby's laughter echoing across the fields and their own hearts beating in tandem, Anna knew something profound. Some promises were more powerful than life itself. Some battles were worth every tear, and some loves, the slow-burning, steadfast ones, were worth holding onto forever. The final whisper of wind rustled through the oak trees, as if the land itself was sighing in relief. Redemption had witnessed a story of courage, love, and justice. And now Anna, Marcus, and Rose were finally wholly home.